I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo.
What's up, everyone? It's Rav with CRU. We're coming to you from Dubai. We're at the Gumball 3000 event. All the cars are on the rally right now. We had an amazing weekend, an amazing week, and we have what I want to call the moment of the trip. We have a very, very special guest that the CRU family is very proud to bring to you. No introduction needed. We have Tim, aka Shmee. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. We were going to make this happen. We're all big fans. We're all big fans here. And I want to jump right into it. Gumball 3000, you had one of the best cars on the grid coming out with. You got to tell us about that car. What did you drive? Let everyone know.
I mean, how cool is it that we're here in Dubai for Gumball?
Yeah.
First time in the Middle East for the Gumball 3000. It's actually now my 8th Gumball 3000. I've been around them, filming them even more than that.
Yeah.
So I've known the Gumball family for over a decade now. But for this rally, as you know, it's quite complicated bringing a car here, especially with crossing borders, UAE and Oman. I actually had one of my own cars out here earlier in the year, but there's a time limit, couldn't keep it here, etc. But I drove for the start, and we'll be joining again very shortly in a Manhart TR900, it's called, which is a near-on 1,000 horsepower Porsche GT2 RS.
Whoa.
Cool machine.
Yeah, very, very cool. Tell us a little bit about it. Was it manual, automatic?
So GT2 RS is, of course, Porsche's Nürburgring record breaker. You know, when they launched it 5 or 6 years ago, smashed records. They made a few iterations and different things as well that have been brought in-house, but effectively Manhart have taken that car, which normally would have 700 horsepower.
Yeah, which is still plenty, by the way.
Which is still plenty. Twin turbo, 3.8 litre flat six.
Yeah.
PDK, 7-speed, dual clutch box. Effectively, they've taken that car, done a whole host of work to both the engine, also the suspension, exterior carbon, everything that you want on this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the power is up from 700 to 945.
Yeah.
Torque goes up from 750 newton meters to 1,050 newton meters. I only drove it briefly for the first leg of the rally, so I haven't got fully out there with it yet, but I can imagine when I put my foot down, it's going to be quite intense.
I can imagine. Obviously, we all know Porsche's launched so well as it is. That much power, engine over the back, it's going to grip really well still, is my firm belief.
And this is one of the cool things actually being out here, because the temperatures are so warm.
Oh, yeah.
And the tarmac is so warm.
Yeah.
Rear-driven cars have traction that you don't get, certainly for us in Europe, and I think you guys as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the instant that they're just ready. They're just good to go. Ambient temperature is grip.
They just grip. No burnout needed. Although,
yeah, you just go.
Yeah, on those tires, were those Cup Rs? Or?
Just on Cup 2s.
Cup 2s, okay.
Yeah, you can get a set of Cup 2Rs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily sure I'd want to do many miles on a rally on Cup 2Rs.
Yeah.
But I've done it before, so you never know.
We did see one of the Porsches, I believe, had Cup 2Rs on it, and that was part of our walkthrough to be like, I don't know how comfortable that's going to be, and I don't know if they're going to last the drive.
Well, that's genuinely one of the things. Tires like Cup 2Rs are built with that one purpose, and that is setting lap records.
Yeah.
So you go out, you do a warm-up lap, a fast lap, and they're basically done. Top performance is gone.
Yeah, top performance is gone.
So they're not really built with longevity and rallying in mind.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
I just threw on PS4s on mine when I was going long driving. I was like, that's just very comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good way
Obviously in Vancouver, we get rain all throughout the summer.
Yeah.
So Cup
2Rs is disastrous.
Nobody orders Cup 2Rs back home.
No. When you pull out of the driveway on a tyre like that, same for Trofeo Rs from Pirelli or whatever, and you pull out of the driveway or out on the road, you know, your mind is just, I'm just going about my regular business. You go for the first corner.
Yeah.
You're like, steer now, please. You just go straight. I've had that once or twice, and
yeah, high speeds or
no, just even just really slow. But you forget on a cold morning. You know, we get to freezing temps as you do every now and then. And on a cold morning, you just have no grip.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different thing out here. And you know, if you're going to have cars that have 1,000 horsepower, and you looked at the grid, of course. Yeah. There are multiple Bugattis and some big power stuff on this rally. Yeah. Big power stuff. It's a very different type of drive, but also it's quite interesting because the start day was so warm, it was so hot, how all the cars out here have to have additional cooling because cars for our markets aren't built for this.
No, there was
intense.
Yeah, we actually after the rally, we went to a local meet by a car club that hosted it, invited us out. Great amount of people, a lot of tuner cars, JDMs, domestics, a lot of built engines.
Yeah.
Every single one, I think, had water meth injection for IATs.
Yeah, go big, hey?
You have to have it. There were 1,000 horsepower cars there, and they talk about it. Same thing. They're like, we grip on the roads perfectly fine, but we have to worry about if we're driving a little bit too hard, we have to park.
Yeah.
And cool down in shade kind of thing. So they all have water meth set up now, which I can imagine. You're still based. Your kind of home is still based out of London?
Yeah, so I'm based in London. My garage, the Shmee, as we call it, is just outside of London.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm from the UK, from London. And it's a great base, but one of the biggest things with my channel and everything I do is the travel nature.
Yeah.
Is going to places, seeing the automotive communities in different locations.
You're going, it seems like you never stop traveling. you got those points on the Amex, guys.
Oh, I've got a whole lot of miles. It's in the millions on my air miles account. It's got a little bit out of hand. But it's, I feel super lucky to be able to do what I do. A couple of days ago, I was filming at SEMA in Las Vegas and then visiting my friend, the Stradman, up in Utah. And then I fly to London to collect a car for a day. And then I fly straight to Dubai for registration day.
Yeah.
Literally landed on registration day in Dubai. And then we're off, we go. And that's one of the reasons why I'm just taking it chill today after getting day one of the rally kind of underway, chilling today.
Now you got some downtime.
I need it.
Yeah, you got some downtime.
As fun as it is being in a car all day, every day, sometimes it's just like...
How's your hearing after being in all those cars?
Do you know what?
These exhausts popping all day.
In the early days, I didn't take it seriously enough, how much time I spend around really loud cars.
Yeah.
Now I'm very on it.
Yeah.
Now if I know I'm going to be too loud about the earplugs come out, or the ear defenders, and I won't stand behind a straight pipe Ferrari V12 revving anymore. Yeah. It's like, I'm thinking longevity here, otherwise I'm going to have a problem down the line.
There were some loud ones there.
Yes.
When Kuba with the Space launched up the LaFerrari and revved it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was going to sound like.
There was a
I was behind it.
particularly loud Porsche GT3.
Oh, I heard. Yeah.
There was a very loud.
It was a grey one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a friend's car, and he said to me as I was walking around, I met him during the week, and I was like, oh, it's a Porsche. The Ferrari is clearly loud. I'm making a joke about Porsches.
Yeah.
It can sound like a Dyson.
He was like, no, you haven't heard mine.
Yeah. He was like, no, mine's the loudest thing in here, and I didn't get to hear it that day. And then he revved it there, and I was walked away like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when he revved out the start line. I wasn't ready for it.
that was ridiculous. You gotta love the loud cars. I always like the option of switching the valve for just cruising around. You can have it quieter.
For sure.
Have that set up on mine. It's especially with I have the newborn. He has his headphones. He's wearing them. He's been to enough car events where he's expecting the exhaust now.
Yeah.
He's not scared.
Yeah. Cool.
I wanted to ask you your journey. How many years have you been doing this now?
I uploaded my first YouTube video.
Yeah.
Very shortly, 13 years ago. And I've done on average more than one a day since then. Every day for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's insane. That's why, with that much practice, that's why your flow is so effortless.
Oh, believe me, there's still multiple takes to get everything right. It's a mixture of a balance. Sometimes things are super easy because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
An event like Gumball, I've filmed the start of Gumball
so many
12
times.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing in terms of what I want from it.
Yeah.
But then other times, because I've done it so much, the focus is on that extra degree of perfectionism that other people will never notice. You want to get it right.
It's an art, though. You're crafting art.
It's kind of, and one of the interesting things when you're making social media content is obviously you're the presenter, but you're also the director, the lighting guy, the camera guy, the mic guy. You're everything in one, and you're ultimately going to be responsible entirely for the end product.
Yeah.
So when I go on a manufacturer test drive, a trip, let's say a typical journalist kind of opportunity, there's no rewriting what I think about the car later. I have to get it right then. If I don't get it right then, I can't.
How much time would you say, just off topic from this, when you're reviewing the car, how much time do you spend actually researching that brand new car? Yeah.
A lot more than people realize. I think when you're very passionate about what you do, you're subconsciously taking it all in all the time. So I'm generally aware of new cars coming. We're both Mercedes guys. Take, for example, there's going to be a new AMG GT soon. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So we know the model lineup. We know roughly what to expect. We see the prototypes going around, testing in the news articles or spy shots. I'll be following the gossip before the car comes out. So when the car does come out, there's actually less to learn than somebody who's not that into the industry.
Yeah, true.
You know, I kind of know what's coming. Then when it does come out, because I go to all of the events, I meet the engineers, the designers, talk to them, pick up stuff. So when I'm actually then filming it, it's not that I mean, yes, I'll sit down for a couple of hours the night before to write my notes, write my script, etc. But it's not like a total beginning from zero.
Yeah.
I'm well versed on what I'm about to see anyway.
Yeah.
And I think I'm quite lucky that my memory is rather good with these things, facts and figures. Sometimes overkill with the facts and figures, but I love walking around an event like the Gumball Grid, where you've got 100 different cars. And you know, you can point at one and say, tell me something about it, and I'll be able to tell you what engine it's got, how many of them they made, you know, some fun facts and figures about that car, because I just love those kind of numbers and understanding a bit of the engineering and stuff behind it. So
I love that level of value. I love the specifics. You know, when I watch your videos and you're able to go into such specifics on something to do with the front lip and how unique it is and what it does in terms of performance. And I think a lot of your audience really appreciate that, because you know, I've had a look at comments. You know, friends, we're all into your videos, so we'll talk about it, and that's something that's mentioned a lot. We love the level of specifics you provide, because there isn't anybody else that does that.
Well, God help me if I get something wrong. It happens sometimes. Sometimes get a little slip up.
Just have that in the terms of service.
yeah, like, please excuse me, I'm sorry. It happens from time to time. But no, I try hard because, you know, I think knowing that I'm able to do that, have that information and that kind of understanding of the industry and cars in general, and you know, having been now lucky enough to be in a position to have driven so many of the supercars and even the hypercars that are out there. I mean, there's not much I haven't been able to try myself. I can often directly reference things or explain things in a way that people might not
from
be
a
able
personal
to do.
point of view, experience,
which is always really fun.
Yeah.
But.
So 13 years ago, you got started. How old were you when you got started?
So, I mean, you could technically argue it was before that. The first time, I always used Shmee 150 as my online username, whether that was for playing games or MSN Messenger or stuff.
MSN Messenger.
25 years ago. But I started using it for car things around the time I got my driving license and started driving, so age 17 in the UK. And basically, I would just, if I saw something cool, take a photo, stick it online on forums, you know, before social media. It only really started developing from that when it was kind of an accident, really. I used to ski a lot. I was a ski instructor when I was younger, and I had a lot of fun out in the snow until I injured myself, as most people do when they spend a lot of time doing winter sports. But basically, I was testing a new video camera that I wanted to try some things with when we would go on our next skiing trip. So I used to do all the flips and go upside down and do stupid things, which was a really fun period of my life. Probably not the wisest at the end of the day, but we all live and learn when we're young. And assessing a camera, having always taken photos of cars and stuck them on the internet, made a video, put it on YouTube, and lo and behold, 50 people watched it. You know, 50 people, 100 people, whatever the number was. But this is back in January 2010. And it was a very different world back then. YouTube was more a place where you uploaded something to send the link to your friend. It was more just like a hosting platform, as opposed to a place we go now to consume content. You know, now you open YouTube knowing that you're going to go down this rabbit hole and spend the next 2 hours watching videos, and you have no idea where you're going to end up. That's the way it works. So it was, like I say, it wasn't really planned in any way, but what I enjoyed the most about it, and you'll certainly be able to relate to this, which people don't necessarily understand thinking about it now, is that the comments would come in, a few comments, but it would be a guy in California, followed by a guy in Australia, followed by somebody in Italy. And I love that concept, that here I am talking to people from around the world who all love the fact that I've just filmed a Ferrari. Like, this is so cool.
It is a cool factor,
And it developed a lot from that. And some of the early trips I did were to go to places for events or whatever, and I would meet up there with people I'd been commenting with on YouTube. So, you know, I'd come out here to Dubai, for example, and meet with somebody who would come also from the US over here to go to the motor show here, and we'd meet up and be like, you know, how cool is it that this weird social media thing that people don't really understand has brought us here filming cars, making friendships around it all.
That's what it's all about, is connecting with more people that share that same passion.
Absolutely. And, you know, contrary to popular opinion, back then there was no earning money or anything. There was no business side to YouTube. It was literally just film something, stick it on the internet, people would watch it.
The passion.
Engage with people. It was all passion. And I try very hard, even with the videos I do now, to work on that same basis. I do things because I enjoy doing it. I want to share it. rather than feeling kind of over-pressured into, oh, I've got to do this. Because if it becomes too much like a job, you'll see that. The emotion will go through the video. No, I feel very lucky that I enjoy so much what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting how this whole world has evolved during the same time. You know, I was clearly at the start wave of social media. In fact, quite an interesting timing thing. And you see this with so many of the car YouTubers who are the same age.
Yeah.
We're all the same age. Like Stradman, Doug DeMuro, myself, like a whole lot of people. It's because we joined social media in about the first year that websites like Facebook opened up when we were leaving our school education. It was when I was 18 was when Facebook arrived. So that was the oldest you could be that you could have been on social media. Anybody a year or two older than myself, for example, didn't connect with their friends at their leaving party from school.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've been on social media since day one.
Yeah.
Been all the way through it, been through these evolutions, and been through also the change of the car world.
Yeah.
You know, being invited to events at manufacturers for the first time, being on rallies like Gumball, seeing how, you know, the people who enter Gumball now, who have always looked into it from the outside, will watch the videos that people like myself shot.
That's like us.
5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, what the rally's like.
Yeah.
And now come on it. And it's so cool to see that transition, see that happen.
Well, that's what it was like for us, you know, us and the team. When we got invited to Gumball and we, you know, CRU was going to be an official sponsor, it was that level of, let's go watch some more videos. Because I've been a fan of Gumball, I don't know, for probably 15 years now. I've been following Gumball. You know, I'm 38, in my mid-20s. I really got into cars, building them and doing different things. So when we made that deal with Gumball, it was like, you know, the passion.
Yeah, it's like, how cool is this, right?
Yeah, it was like,
such a cool thing.
It was difficult to put it into words when, you know, when the team, when we all got together and we, you know, basically realized like, we're actually doing this. And we, you know, I started watching more and more videos, and your videos obviously came up first. Whenever we're searching YouTube Gumball 3000, it's all yours first. And it was a level of, think about how this is going to be when we get there ourselves. And we get to experience this community, and then meeting all the drivers, meeting the other influencers, you know, getting to meet you for the first time. It was an amazing experience. And we can't wait to do it again and again.
One of the things I absolutely love, and the rally has changed, you know, if you go back, it started obviously just over 2 decades ago. In the early days, it was a bit more outlawed, you know, underground, where are they, what's happening, running from the cops type stuff. Whereas now, obviously, social media has changed all of that.
Can't do that.
You can't, because everybody knows what you're doing away.
Now you have police escorts and SLS AMG.
It goes the other way when a Dubai police SLS is leading the way.
They just want to be part of the rally.
It's awesome. It's awesome fun. I mean, you know, we get to drive on closed roads and racetracks and do all sorts of unbelievable things that you can never imagine happening. But it's a family. When you're on Gumball, you're all one group, like immediately friend group. And I love that, as you say, meeting all these different people. But even for myself, I find it so fascinating. Everybody I meet, it's like, what's their story? What's brought them to be here?
What was your journey? What was
their journey to get to this start line? Like, what was their background, or what they've been involved in? Where did their passion come from? What were the different ingredients that came together in this recipe to bring them to the start line of the Gumball 3000?
Everyone has a unique story, different backgrounds, different parts of the world. That's what's big about Gumball. It's all different parts of the world, different people from different spots, like Argentina, people from France.
There are people from 35 different countries on this rally alone.
See, those are the specifics. Those are the specifics.
Oh, I'm my numbers. As soon as I hear a number, it's engraved. It's there.
Nice. I wanted to ask you, the Shmee Museum. First of all, how many cars are in that?
Do you know? So
do you know this number? Because it might be a lot.
It changes quite regularly. I own something like 20 cars at the moment, but it does go up and down.
And I saw your recent video. You're like they're basically never there at the same time.
The last time actually I had all of my cars that I owned at that point together. It was quite a specific occasion, and this is me in numbers in a nutshell. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of my first YouTube video, I made sure I had the 10 cars that I owned at that time together, and it was also my 10,000th Instagram post. How about that?
Now, was that on purpose?
Oh yes, I planned this for about a year. I delayed getting what would have been my 11th car, and I had to post so many pictures to get to the 10,000 number. But anyway, I made that happen. That was a really small, funny thing for me. But that was the last time. That was about 3 years ago was the last time. Because I now have cars out for all sorts of things. But I think with any car collector, you have cars that are being serviced, maintained, upgraded.
Especially with the larger cars, you have to go on for stuff.
And it seems like, sometimes you'll see a collection where that doesn't happen, but it probably means they never get driven and they never get serviced. The only way to keep them there. When you get to cars like my Zenvo or Ford GT or Senna or something like that, as soon as they need a part, they're gone for a month.
They're gone.
There's no way around it.
There's no quick fix for those.
Yes. You need the right person. These are often people who fly from car to car to go and fix them. If something happens with the Zenvo, it's literally the factory will fly to the car. Like a flying doctor to go to the car. Even with Ford, even with the Ford GT, they've made a bit over 1,000 of them, but still there are so few around. In the UK, I think it might be 30 cars. It's not like that your nearby Ford dealer knows what to do with a GT that needs something done.
No.
So the number of cars always changes because stuff arrives, stuff leaves. With the Museum and with my team that I now employ there, we have much more opportunity to showcase both behind the scenes of looking after these cars, but I mean not just the cars I've mentioned, but all the way down, doing modifications, tuning projects. I've got some.
You doing more customizations?
But I've just done a complete rebuild of a Clio V6, for example. It was in a pretty nasty state, but we've everything from repainting it to full engine out, lots of work on it.
Stradman style colours or no?
We made it acid yellow, which was one of the original Clio colours, but super rare colours. But also I have a little 1.2 Clio and I've just sold it, but I had an old 20-year-old E500 estate. Wagon.
Love those.
So a whole mix of different cars, which is really fun. And that's always been the way kind of through my channels. Yes, there's a lot of supercar stuff. The tagline has always been living the supercar dream. And I still can't believe sometimes that I have the keys to some of these cars and can go and drive them and do stuff with them. But I think the fun is to actually show them being used. My AMG GT Black Series is currently over with Stradman in Utah.
You were saying, still got those concerns or not?
No, I think it'll be safe. I trust he's not going to make it pink and chrome, but we'll see.
I look forward to it.
I mean, it's 6,000 miles in 1 month in a road trip. To be able to show what these kind of cars are like to do that, very few people do. Most of those kind of things.
How many miles did you put on the Ford GT500?
On the GT500, in a period of about 12 weeks with the car, spread over a year and a bit, I did 12,000 miles in it.
12,000 miles. so comfortable to drive then?
Yeah. I mean, I drove it on the previous Gumball, Toronto to Miami.
Fitting for that one, domestic.
I particularly like two brands, Ford and Mercedes, and have a lot of bias towards those in my garage because they're brands that are so relatable as they make cars across the entire radar. Everything from your entry-level hatchbacks and small saloons up to incredible supercars. Along the way, things like trucks and like muscle cars and everything.
SUVs, everything.
I really enjoy when a brand has that consistency. My three Fords that I own now, the Ford GT, the ultimate American supercar, the GT500, which is unbelievable overpowered muscle car, and I have a Focus RS Heritage Edition, which was one of the final 50 Mark III Focus RSs, hot hatch. They all have the same window switches. The same it's those kind of things that I actually love. Some people say, Ford GT, they should make all of that bespoke and it should have everything fancy. But no, it's actually cool. It's a Ford, right? It's a Ford at the end of the day, and it's the same with Mercedes. So I love that familiarity, that relatability, whether it's a $20,000 car or a $1 million car. That's
true.
There's a connection between them.
It's also easy to get into and be like, I know what I'm doing in this car.
That's true.
It's one of the things I like about the Mercedes brand in general and like the AMGs I've owned. I get into it and it's all a familiar space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even I watched a piece recently with Chris Harris where he was talking about the AMG 1, which I've been lucky enough to drive as well. We were at the same event, about saying that at the end of the day, the AMG 1's had many foibles, a bit later than planned, the homologation for the US, heavier than they expected, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it's a Mercedes. You can jump into it, you can press a button, and a Formula One engine starts.
And you get going,
And that's ridiculous.
Have you had a chance to drive the Rimac?
I've passengered in the Navira with Miro, the factory test driver.
Oh, awesome.
It's very sideways and very fast. It was great. I haven't driven one. I filmed at the factory a few times. I was there only 2 months ago with Mate Rimac. I had a look around the factory and we filmed a piece together.
Beautiful. Cool. I was wondering if you, maybe too early to tell, any quick comparison between that and the Mercedes AMG 1?
Different cars. electric it's a whole, rabbit hole of conversation we could go down. Electric is such a different thing.
Yeah.
It's the electric supercar, hypercar world is one to me that's going to always struggle with the lack of emotion.
Yeah.
Because you don't need a car that costs this much money or goes this fast. Like, full stop. Nobody does. So you're not going into it because your heart says, gosh, I've got to get, I've got to get that.
The emotion behind it, yeah.
It's very different. And I think, there's certainly a future in electric cars. I'm not questioning that in the slightest. But from a purist automotive point of view, a petrol head point of view, it's a very different world.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
No, I agree. You don't have any EVs in your museum?
At the moment, no. Which is really odd. I've just, a couple of days ago, said goodbye to one. I've had in my garage now, I think 4 different EVs, maybe 4 or 5.
So you've had them before?
Yeah, I've had a couple. Did quite a lot of miles with my Taycan Turbo S that I owned.
Yeah.
So I have plenty of experience in electric cars. It's more like a quirk of the timing that I don't have one right now, as opposed to intentionally not having one.
Yeah. What's your favorite in your garage right now?
My favorite car is my Ford GT.
Ford GT. What year is that one?
So it's a 2018, obviously one of the earlier of the new model GTs, but there are so many reasons that make it so special. In the modern world, a lot of cars are released by manufacturers to sell, to make money, to please shareholders, etc., etc. Very few cars feel like they have a genuine passion reason behind them or a genuine story behind them. We were just talking about the AMG 1. I believe that is a car that fits this category because Mercedes have lost a whole lot of money on it. They probably wish they hadn't made that, but it features the most successful Formula 1 engine of my lifetime for sure, our lifetimes, in a road car. Yeah. And that for me is like an unbelievable story. Now that's the engine that Lewis and Nico and Valtteri have driven.
That's the best engine of all time.
Yes. Okay. Yes, they've slightly lost their winning ways more recently, but I say that they've just won, obviously, in Brazil. Russell getting his first win, but the point's the same in the sense that that's a car with a story. The Ford GT is exactly the same. Ford lost a lot of money on them, but they built it to go back to Le Mans 50 years after the 1966 win with the GT40. And for me, you can tell story and facts and numbers. It's all links back. They built the race car. They went back and they won. And they made a very small number of road cars because they have to homologate the race car. Yeah. So it was a car built for a reason. That old, Ferrari thing of win on Sunday, sell on Monday type. Like it was all about motorsport. And
it brings people to the brand over and over.
It brings things to the brand, and I love those kind of things. Yeah. You combine that then with the demand massively exceeding the supply of cars. Yeah. It was crazy, and new cars back then at the start that cost $500,000 were selling for $2 million straight away. Yeah. Because people really wanted to get their hands on a GT. Yeah. And it's never gone on the list. It's one of the few cars that's always held above its price at every point along the way. And that is, for me, all just adding to the story behind this thing. Again, so I felt really privileged to have been able to buy one. My car in particular is just a car filled with kind of, I don't know how this happened. It was number 80 of 80 of the European cars originally. Yeah. So the last one to be delivered. Of the batch 1, they then did a batch 2, but the batch 2 cars are slightly different. It was the first car the factory painted with custom coloured stripes on it, Vogue factory stitching around the seats, and also the shift paddles are painted to match the stripes. Nice. I've taken it to so many places: Nürburgring, Sardinia, Monaco, across the US, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, San Francisco. So had a pretty epic time with the car, so it's a really special one for me. So
you have a lot of memories with it as well. That's probably why it's your favorite.
Memories and the car.
Yeah, my neighbor has one back home. Not the newer generation, but
an 05.
An 05, yellow, black stripes.
Oh,
it's gorgeous.
So I'll reveal that here. I don't think I've ever spoken about it. I've talked often about wanting an 05, but my ideal spec for that is yellow with black stripes.
Yellow and black stripes.
That's my like.
Well, I'll ask him what he wants to sell.
Yeah, let me know.
He's a great. I think he just turned 89 years old.
Okay, wow.
This year.
Do you drive it still?
I haven't seen it. It went to a few shows this summer. Cool. I didn't get to see it on the road, but obviously I see him at all the local shows, and I'm like, you brought it up, fantastic. So I hear it started. He also has a Viper ACR in the same color combo.
Cool.
Hellcat Z06s. And he hops in the other cars regularly. The Ford GT stays parked quite a bit.
Still cool to have.
it's still amazing to have, especially in the neighborhood when I'm walking the dogs by. That's actually how I met him. His garage was open. He was doing some gardening. I was walking the dogs. He had car covers on the ACR and the Ford GT. Very, very specific shapes.
You're like, I know what these cars are.
I said it straight. He waved, said hi, and I was like, Ford GT ACR, and he was like, come on.
We talk the same language.
The nicest gentleman around, seriously. We know a lot about your brand, what you do, your history. I want to quickly dive into what's the future. Is you just going to let it? Because you started off kind of like it's grown organically. It's based on your passion. It wasn't like I need to do this as a business. I need to get out there and do this. It's your passion. It's your hobby. It definitely comes along, comes across in your videos. I think that's what makes you so popular. In all honesty, we can feel the passion through the screen and how much you're enjoying what you're doing. The specifics, the content, and you're just always around. I mean, one video a day. That's immense. But where do you want to go in the future?
It's really hard to say because, if we rewind back, nobody could have predicted the path that even social media has taken. So I don't necessarily know where it will go. I've seen changes. I've seen things happening. Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. It's on a big scale.
Yeah.
And if you take a 5-year period, rewind back to YouTube 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you'd have never predicted where that would head.
1000% different. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of obviously the, let's say, public side of what I do is dependent upon where we go with social media and what we get involved in. Obviously, on a personal level, I'm trying to get involved in other things. I've got a couple of other businesses and investments that I'm normally quite quiet about, but happening behind the scenes to, I guess, diversify what I do. Being aware of exit strategies, etc., etc. Because let's be real, I can't travel at this pace and film a video at this pace for the rest of my life.
No.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
As much as I love it, at some point, it's just not going to work. This is not going to happen. So being aware of that is obviously increasing my interest in other things. But at the end of the day, I still believe that it's important to do something I enjoy so much. So the focus is on, right, somebody calls and says, hey, I've got this cool opportunity to film a video. I'm like, right, I'm there. I'll fly around the world again tomorrow to go and do something amazing. That's
awesome. You're staying present and you're keeping it organic, right, wherever it's going to go. That's awesome. We talk about social media and where it's developing to. That is the concept of CRU. What we're trying to build here is building out a community in a central spot for automotive enthusiasts. We're not really going to compete with like YouTube. YouTube has a different platform. We're not a video platform. We're kind of combining, Google Maps, Instagram, and WhatsApp all into one project. Not just for the supercar rallies, not just for people who want to go on drives, but so you can connect with more people in your local neighborhood that may be in the same passion as yourself, but you've never met them before. There's never been a way before. We have, so many stories back home and with different friends around the world now that share, I've never been able to find shows in one spot or different meets or drives, and now that they have a spot to do it. We have just over 5,000 members, haven't officially launched, but we're worldwide, and we get messages from people saying, I didn't even know about this event until I saw it on your app, and 50 people turned up. It's great from my point of view to be like, that's what the app was meant for. It was meant to solve a problem for us first, going on drives, getting lost on these rallies and being like, there's just nowhere to go with it. We stuck at a red light. The funny story is my wife was pregnant. We were doing the Diamond Rally back home in Vancouver. I think we had 110 cars on that drive, but we're downtown Vancouver. I live about an hour and a half out of the city. I don't like driving downtown, one-way streets. I get lost very quickly. So I got stuck at a light. The rest of the cars left, and I had 3 cars behind me. I had 2 Hurricanes and I think it was an Aventador behind me, following me now, not knowing, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I had no way to contact them. So I'm driving, calling friends. Wife's 3 months pregnant. We were lost for about 15, 20 minutes. I was like, I need to build a platform to solve this issue.
Yep. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Been stuck. Exactly that scenario. Lost the group, people behind. And you're just like, I hope these people aren't following me because I don't know what I'm doing.
It's happened, and they were following me. So, because I took a right turn, they turned right. I took another right, because I've eventually got in touch with a friend that has an R8. And the funny thing was, he was at a light, and he was like, you can't be far away. And he revved his car, and he was like, can you hear it? I was like, I heard it. and I took a left, and I found him next to the highway.
That's the way car guys communicate with one another.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
So That's what I think. You talk about your passion in cars and doing these videos. That's where the passion comes across with us. Is building this app, trying to fill that gap in the community and hearing those stories from everybody that's around right now, saying this is helping them meet people. It's the idea of what we developed that we're not going to launch until next year, probably just a little bit before summer, is the world's first social GPS. Being able to meet people on the road, being able to see a car and having them as a crew member and just being able to follow them right on the map. It's that concept of GPSs haven't really changed in the past 10, 12 years in terms of how they add value. You can mark police, you get two-step directions now. Sure, it's a little bit more accurate with customizing routes, but social media has never been integrated into it. So that's what we're excited to bring to the world, is a vision of this is for anybody in the automotive community. You have a spot to connect with people like-minded, similar passions, go on drives, make your own drives, host your own pop-up meets, and meet new people in your area and actually connect with them and take it from online to in person. You actually get to take it, from meeting someone online, go in person, go hang out, go on the drive. Because one of the things I always say is, if you and myself, let's say we had I was actually raised in Leicester, so we have a lot in common back from the UK. But let's say we had absolutely nothing in common, business, backgrounds, different ages. We're both into cars. That's a language of its own.
You speak the same language.
Yeah, it's like my neighbor. I was 87 years old when I met him. I was 36, but we got along like best friends because we're talking cars. Completely different backgrounds. That's what we're trying to bring out there.
I look forward to not getting lost on rallies.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing the Shmuseum added across the app. You're going to have the longest garage list.
No, believe me, there are some people with a lot of cars in their collections.
That is true. But I will say, if you need an assistant to add anything in, we got a whole team, so don't worry. Don't worry.
I know who to call.
I do have some crew fan questions. We put a little survey out there and said, what do you want to hear from Tim himself? So there's a few questions from the fans. You mentioned the Ford GT is the best for you and your collection. Do you have a favorite brand in general? You mentioned Ford and Mercedes, but favorite brand in general.
So I think I probably do have an answer. It's a bit of a twist on what I would have given a few years ago. When I was getting started in the world of exciting cars myself, I had a particularly bad running experience at a Ferrari dealer. Went in, I guess I'm a young guy, probably don't know if I'd have been wearing a shirt or a t-shirt, whatever, and shorts, going in to inquire about an F430. And I basically got nowhere, got shunned, got kind of like, who are you stuff.
I've been there.
Yeah, you know that feeling. And it really turned me off the brand in a very big way for a long time.
Yeah.
It was 10 years before I bought a Ferrari after that, despite owning all the other Porsches, McLarens, etc. in the meantime. But the company is completely different now. They have an incredible product line.
That's true.
I really think that as we go into this world of, like, if you jump ahead 20, 30 years, which of the current brands are going to be in a really strong position, it's going to be different. We're going to be talking about Googles and Apples and Sonys and whatever, rather than Ferraris and Lamborghinis and McLarens. Strange to say, but I think probably the two that will be the strongest will be Ferrari and Porsche. But my heart leans much more towards Ferrari. So
crazy. That's very interesting you say that. I've never been a Ferrari guy. I was grown up with the Lamborghini poster on the wall.
Yeah.
And then as I got into, Bugattis and Koenigsegg and Pagani, for me, those are the two cars, I'll bring to the CRU Museum in the future. But I got to sit in my very first Ferrari, actually. I never actually rode in a Ferrari before. Actually, I have driven an F430, but none of the newer models.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy that one. It was a track day. But a friend, Zach, on the rally with Group 63, has an F8. Yeah. Hopped inside, and I gotta say, it was the most comfortable space I've been in. The engine sound was beautiful. And then quite quickly after, I hopped in an Aventador and I was like, this is a spaceship. I don't want to drive this at all. I couldn't see anywhere. I was like, this isn't comfortable. The seat was very rigid. He had bucket seats. It was very, it was just an aggressive car. But the Ferrari was like, I want to drive this every day, everywhere. Kind of felt like the comfort of a Porsche in terms of like this, everything was just beautifully designed. I'm very comfortable in this. Yeah. So that switched my mindset on Ferrari.
It's funny you say it. When I was younger, a friend of mine who's appeared through my channels a few times over the years, Benzine Ben, we went to school together from the ages of 13 to 18, roughly. And we were sitting in classes when we were 16, 17 years old saying, our goal at the time was one day, we're going to have a Lamborghini and drive on the Gumball 3000. That was like 16, 17-year-old Tim, nearly 20 years ago, that was the like conversation I was having.
Law of attraction, right?
Yeah, like it had to happen. I've never driven a Lambo on Gumball.
Yeah.
I've owned a Lambo and I've done Gumball lots of times, so I kind of
happened. It's
kind of
happened,
got
yeah.
there. We're good. But certainly as a teenager, like you said, it was always Lambo.
Yeah.
That was always the way. But while I've owned one so far, I reckon STO, which is a phenomenal car, crazy thing. I've never been fully drawn to Lambos in the same way.
Yeah.
I think it's less me. My personality and character is less flamboyant than Lamborghini.
Yeah. I think a lot of people go over to Porsche and Ferrari because they're the track cars. You know, they're the performance cars. They got the racing teams. There's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, I'm very close. I mean, don't get me wrong. Lamborghini in motorsport right now is big. What they do with the Super Trofeo series, the different racing that they do with the GT3 Hurricanes, and also now joining the Le Mans hypercar class as well.
Yeah.
With an entry. So Lambo and motorsport has
They've leveled up, yeah.
very quickly catching up, having not really done anything.
And that's great to see. I'm still a Lamborghini fan. Don't get me wrong. Grew up just with the Countach on the wall. You know, the white. Everyone had that same picture. I have it. Next question. Obviously, you know, we're based out of Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yeah.
You know, app might be worldwide, but the headquarters is there. The main crew family is there. Got the same question from a lot of people. When are you coming to Vancouver?
It's got to happen. Do you know what? I've actually been in my life to Vancouver about 5 or 6 times, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Skiing.
Skiing life.
Heading up to Whistler.
Whistler,
indeed.
yeah. Nice.
But getting into the car world, I've been to Toronto a couple of times now, or Toronto, I should say.
Toronto.
Gotta say it, yeah. A couple of times, including only last month, and the start of Gumball, obviously, earlier this year, and Gumball before. And so I've been to Toronto a few times. I don't know why I haven't been out to Vancouver, to be honest.
All right.
I mean, like, got some good friends out there. You guys, of course, would be great to catch up.
Yeah.
Previous Gumball Spirit winners, Team Skookum.
Yeah, Jordan's out there, West Vancouver, yeah.
So I have to come back at some point.
Okay.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Crew will organize a rally out there. We're working around your schedule. We'll get Jordan to come out. We got quite a few friends up there.
Sounds like a plan.
Diamond Rally Group. There's a lot of crazy cars up there.
Let's do it.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on the CRU Cast. It's been great to have you on. It's been great to meet over the Gumball experience and to connect. Really appreciative of the time and obviously to get all the information. For me, seeing you in action at the, you know, when we first met at the Reg room, seeing you in action on the around the grid, going around, you definitely have that emotion come across in your videos. You know, for everyone that's listening now, off camera, this is the same guy, the nicest guy around. Make sure you follow his channels. How many channels do you have now? I should say.
A lot of different pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of different pages now.
YouTube, TikToks, Instagrams, Facebooks.
Yeah, well,
too long.
We're on
Shmee 150 everywhere.
Shmee 150. Shmee 150 everywhere. All the links will be below. Make sure you follow. Looking forward to have some of the cars on the app. And for everyone at home, thank you for joining us. This has been a great experience, Tim.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you again. We'll see you in Vancouver. Stay tuned for that.
I never answer to no, man, I still go, go, go.